Multi-attribute attitude models are a form of compensatory decision-making model. These types of set of models, of which the best known we're going to look at here, called a Fishbein model, are known as compensatory models because when you're looking at several options, an option that you're choosing to, say, purchase that is weak in one particular attribute you're looking at as an important part of the decision can make up for that weakness with strengths in other areas, so it can compensate for them. That's why the name has been applied to that general class of models. If you want to contrast that with a non-compensatory type rule, one popular one is the lexicographic rule. You might not be able to, for instance, drive 20 cars to test drive them and really compare which one's the best for you. It might be very difficult to juggle all that information. But if you want leather seating, and high quality leather seating is the main thing you want, whichever car you end up choosing, and you find that half the cars don't have that type of seating, you can knock those out with a non-compensatory rule. When it gets down to very important decisions, you generally want to have a compensatory rule because not every option is going to be best on the best thing, and that's the most important thing, and not to consider other aspects of the purchase. We'll look at an example on the next slide. These, like I say, the Martin Fishbein, a psychology professor at Stanford University, became popular to use his name with these because he popularized those, as did his students over years after they were in his doctoral programs. But basically, they can be used on their own, like we're going to look at here, and as components in a multidimensional model. A popular one there is a portfolio planning model used for resource allocation, but it can be used for a lot of other things as well. And it is two-dimensional, known as the GE stoplight model. Various other models can make use of the Fishbein model construct within them. Let's take a look at a model and how one is built, because this is an important aspect when you're learning about business, innovation, in any aspect of marketing, and even other fields as well. The basic formula, you can look at that in a separate place. The formula is not as important as knowing how to construct one using Excel or some other spreadsheet. I've got an excerpt of one here, and we can see it says building the model, and this is looking at someone who has narrowed the field to 3 different cars they're trying to consider. The 4 parts you want to look at for a Fishbein model are the attributes. That's why you have the name multi-attribute model, is because there are generally more than one attribute. There's generally more than one attribute being considered. That shows here that we are looking at how well the car handles, how responsive it is in driving, for going around curves and various other things you might want to do when you're driving a sporty type car. The styling, so that you like looking at it, and don't get tired of the lines that are designed into the car. Then the sound system, and so what you have here is a set of important attributes, some more important than others. You can see by what is called the importance weight, that's the next column over, that the most important consideration is handling because of the sporty nature of the cars. Also important is styling, very important. These are on a scale of 1 to 10, by the way. And the sound system is deemed to be a little less important. It's being considered. It's not a 0 or a 1 or a 2, but about middle of the road as far as how important it is. So you have the attributes and how important they are in the consideration. The entities being compared, listed as number 2, have the tag off to the right, and it shows an arrow pointing to, in this particular case, the 3 cars that are being considered. As the footnote says, or the note below the spreadsheet shows, you can compare. This is why the models are so popular, so powerful, and good to learn to know how to use and build, is that anything can be put in there. You could be a manager who's looking at 3 different employees who are up for a promotion, and you can put aspects that are important, the attributes that are important for the new job. You can look at in a channels of distribution setting where you have 3 vendors and you're looking to narrow it to 2. You can look at different performance aspects of those channel partners and see which one seems to be the weakest. So there's all kinds of different things that could go in there. So I use the generic term entities because it can be literally anything that you want to compare. And finally, we have the term beliefs. This is from the original research on multi-attribute models, and you could substitute in various synonyms for that, such as performance, ratings, and these can come from many sources, and that's also shown in the note at the bottom below the spreadsheet, and that is they can come from management opinion, they can come from a consumer survey, they can come from many different sources, sales data, some type of engineering testing that's done. So literally anything can form the basis for the beliefs. It could be you deciding where you want to go on vacation, having 3 different places that you're comparing, and you fill out the table with your own beliefs about the performance of the vacation options on the attributes you've picked out. Okay, so it's a very flexible model in that you can put appropriate attributes, attributes that are appropriate for the entity you're comparing, and then how important is that attribute in that type of product or service or whatever it is you're looking at. How important is that attribute to you, and then how well does the entity you're looking at perform on that attribute. The simple, if you look at the formula or here at the spreadsheet, what is done for each option is the importance weight is multiplied by the performance or by the belief for each entity and added together. So in the case of Corvette, here you have importance weight of 9 multiplied by 8, then the importance weight on styling of 7, and Corvette's belief for that is 7, and then a 4 and multiplied by 6 for the third attribute of sound system. If you add that up, that adds up to 145. And the other 2 options you see their totals as well. Okay? And one of the things you're wanting to definitely know when you start to learn how to build these is that the 4 parts of the model as shown to the left and numbered in the model, I've often had people ask me, the results of the model are part of the model. No, as the footnote says, the totals are the results of the model. The model itself is constructed of those 4 parts listed. Okay? And I've already mentioned a couple of times the note at the bottom. You can put anything in the entities and have appropriate attributes for them, rate the importance of the entities, or the attributes rather, and then the information is gathered from various sources on beliefs. Okay, now let's take a look at this model a little bit deeper, because a model is only as good as what it kind of helps you decide to do. In this case, it's a compensatory decision-making model. So if we look at this next slide, Fishbein model results are interpreted, and results can drive decisions in various areas. 5 of the most used type of decision from the results, and so that's what the note at the top there says. And the nice thing about this is you're making a decision, some operational decision, on changing a product or doing something else marketing-wise based on data. Okay, here we have them color-coded to this particular model, and if you look down at the bottom with the notes, there's the 5 different colors show the 5 common uses for Fishbein model results, what you decide to do as a management team or as a marketer. First one, if you look at the blue on the totals line for Mustang, is that you can tout the overall win. You might see, for instance, advertising that shows a grid with little check marks for your focal brand and performing well on the different options that are shown, different attributes that are shown rather, and your competitors not having as many check marks, or having X's instead of checks or check marks. So there's various ways to depict that, but that's a common thing you'll see is in a recent consumer survey, Mustang came out on top in an overall performance, etc. The second thing you can do is more operational and diagnostic, and that is in green. If you look at T-Bird on the most important attribute of handling, it comes in 3rd out of the 3 that are being considered here. Okay, so Ford is the maker of 2 of the cars shown here, and they might seek to beef up the suspension or change the steering to be more responsive. And then, of course, you would tout that in promotion as well to show we've improved the handling of the car, try it now, that type of thing. The orange showing the attribute box with an added line, it just got attribute X because it can be anything on which you excel that wasn't considered in the study as shown. And here, that could be lots of different things, but it could be back to seating, or the number of options you have for exterior color, or some other customizable type feature you might have, just as an example. But that is trying to get away where you can't change someone's opinion about how important the attributes being considered are, and you don't see a short-term way or cost-effective ways for trying to improve on the attributes that are being considered. So therefore, maybe you can already know that you've got your competitors beaten on a particular attribute that's not being considered, and you can try to have consumers consider that as they're making a decision on this type of product purchase, in this particular case, cars. In the purple color, you have attack a competitor's rating. Here, you have Corvette highlighted with purple, and this is where Ford would try to convince consumers that Corvette doesn't handle as well as this particular study showed it did. Obviously, this is a fairly dangerous option because it invites retaliation. The two toughest ones to pull off, as a matter of fact, are this one and the last one in red. As we see here, the sound system, the important weight, as I mentioned at the beginning, talking about the model, is only rated as a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10, so it doesn't have much impact. And if you look at Ford's two products here, T-Bird and Mustang, they both have very high ratings, but it doesn't help them much because the multiplier for the importance weight is only 4. Okay, and so it's one thing to improve a product and let people know our product is now improved. Try it, you'll like the difference. And it's yet another thing, and much more difficult, to try to get people to change what they think is important for an entire product category. Okay, and so increasing an importance weight of the sound system should be just as important as styling or handling. May be very, very difficult to pull off. So it is an option. Those are the 5 common uses for Fishbein model results. And if you get into a spreadsheet and build a Fishbein model for a decision you need to make, the more you use one, the more you're going to be comfortable with putting one together for your own personal use, for work, for school, or anything else.